What's up, guys? So we're doing something different today. As always, I always want to make content that's going to light my heart and brain on fire because I feel like if I'm interested in it, other people will be as well. And, as I build out this YouTube channel, I don't want it to be just football takes. I think that's awesome. I think that's great. I love football, love breaking down my takes, but I think there's room to bring you guys underneath the hood a little bit. And over the next 5 Thursdays, I'm committing to what I'll call a new little mini series. The best name I have for right now is Thursday Therapy, and I'll take you guys underneath the hood and talk on something that I've either struggled with in the past and have worked through and might have some insights to share, or something that I'm struggling with actively in the moment, which I hope to do more often. That'd be juicy, and just use this as an opportunity to almost kind of document where I am in this journey, because I think from your guys' seat, right, you see, the content leveling up a little bit. If you've been here from the jump, you remember the OG breakdowns in my kitchen, 5-6 years ago. And on that note, that's a good transition into the topic we're talking about today. Of 5-6 years ago, I struggled with being critical and the whole concept of providing criticism on a topic, and where I netted out on the range of 10 being a Skip Bayless delusional LeBron take, and 1 being the buttoned up student assistant that's just saying on camera what the stats guy gave him, and there's no teeth to it, there's no personality, and where do you want to be on that spectrum? And I think 10 years ago, most people were like a level 5, right? It was, I'm going to say what the stats guy gives me, I'm going to keep my bosses happy, I'm not going to piss off any players or coaches. And as social media has taken over our media consumption and it's given a platform for everyone, I think that level 5 stance no longer plays, and you need to be in that 6, 7, 8, 9 level. I don't think anyone should ever be level 10. That's ridiculous. But you have to come to grips with where you want to be on that spectrum. And for me, over the past 5 years of working in sports media, I think I probably started as a 5, and I've grown to, I don't know, you guys let me know, probably like a 7 or so now, 8 maybe. Like, I'll call someone out when I think it's informed and fair. That's always my 2 words, informed and fair. But I also know that if my career keeps progressing, if you guys keep watching these videos, if you guys like and comment down below, that as you progress, you will meet these people face to face, look them in the eye, shake their hands, get to know them, and it becomes a lot more difficult to be critical, which opens up a whole another can of worms. So I'll start with why I've struggled to be critical. On the most basic level, it's my personality type. I'm certainly a people pleaser. At like a big dinner and whatnot, I'm never going to be the guy that's like pounding the table on a take and talking down to someone kind of thing. Like that's not my vibe, and people that know me well know that's the case. But I also remember a conversation I had with a mentor back in 2018 when I was transitioning away from playing football into more the media side. And he asked me a question. He's like, what kind of sports analyst do you want to be? Or what kind of voice do you want to have? I think was maybe the verbiage he had. And I didn't put much thought to it. And my snap reaction was critical, which is ironic because I'm saying that I struggled with being critical. Yet in 2018, when I was just breaking into the industry, that's where my head went initially. But I had a sense at that time that I didn't want to just be, again, a level 5 analyst where it's just kind of, I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of regurgitating the takes that everyone's kind of saying out there. I wanted to be a guy that if someone's going to invest their time to watch my content, sit down and consume my content, they're getting something that they can't get anywhere else. They're getting something that has some teeth, that has some substance to it. And I'm talking to them. Hopefully, I've gotten criticism over the years for being like almost like too buttoned up, too professional, but hopefully it's a tone where, hey, I could go have a beer with that guy. Hey, he's talking to me as if we're sitting around the dining room table having a conversation. That's my goal. But I could tell when I had that conversation with that mentor that answer was met with some caution of like, oh, be careful. If you're going to go the critical route, got to be careful, which is totally fair. And kind of the point of why I'm making this video is when you're in sports media, there's kind of two schools of thought. There's, hey, I'm going to be critical. That means I'm going to have unique takes. That means, I'm going to get the clicks and have the headlines and kind of put my name out there and be loud, so to speak, is how people think about it. And that allows you to, if you can thread the needle, allows your career to develop. The flip side of that, though, is if you're going to be critical, you're naturally calling helping players and coaches out. And to grow in the business, you need to have good rapport with players and coaches and athletic directors and administrators and networks and whatnot. And so those two things are at odds. And I think the old school mindset was, I got to be kind of down the middle a little bit. But then the new school mindset, I would argue, with the rise of guys like, a Stephen A. Smith and a Colin Cowherd. And before you get on me, I know those guys have two different voices, but I do think those guys are both critical. They're going to call it how they see it. And some days when they call it as they see it, you're going to be pro Colin Cowherd. And other days when they call it as they see it, you're going to be anti Colin Cowherd. But at the end of the day, I would argue that to a man, everyone respects those two opinions and could walk up to those guys and shake their hand. Even if I'm filming this a couple days after the Stephen A. Smith LeBron interaction, I would be willing to bet that 6 months from now, that's water under the bridge and Stephen A. Smith could have a drink with LeBron James, because there's a level of respect for how Stephen A. Smith goes about his business. And so there was two schools of thought. It's the, do you want to be loud and critical and hot takey and try to rise your career that way? Or do you want to be, keep the relationships, keeps everyone on the good side, but you run the risk of, is there enough substance and teeth to what you're saying to continue to stay alive in this business, but also create an audience that knows, hey, you're being transparent and authentic with them. And when you get in front of camera, and right now when you're investing the time to listen to my content, that I'm giving you what's truly in my heart and what I truly believe. So when I reflect on how I've gotten more comfortable being critical, and I won't say better, because better, like you're getting better at being critical, that doesn't really sound right, but I've gotten more comfortable with this over the past 5 or 6 years. And I wrote down some notes, and to me, there's 5 areas that have either changed or progressed for me that have allowed me to improve or become more, I said I wasn't going to say better, and I said improve. That's a synonym. Whatever. I've gotten more comfortable being critical. The first one is I've found my voice more. And it's funny because I've recently started posting long form YouTube videos to continue to build that muscle of finding my voice. But compared to where I was at 5, 6 years ago, certainly have found my voice more and where I fall on that 0 to 10 spectrum of being critical. And I'd like to think I've settled in at like a 7 or 8, and I'm good with that. I'm good with, hey, I'll call out a player every now and then or a coach every now and then. But when I'm doing that, it's informed, it's something I believe in, and it's something that if I met them someday, I could look them in the eye and shake their hand. And I hope that over my body of work with how I handle my content, they would respect that even if I didn't say the best of things about them, that it was at least an informed take. The second one, it is night and day easier to be more critical when the guys you're breaking down are not your peers. When I was 25, just breaking into the industry, and all the guys that I was quarterback recruits with back in the day, shit, it felt like half of them were in the NFL. And so who am I, the dude, to be critical of them? Like, they're my peers and they're in the NFL and they're playing. Or even like, guys that and this is still kind of a thing today, but when I cover my old coaches, like that's dicey a little bit. Like people ask me about Sark, people ask me about Kip every once in a while. I called one of Kiffin's games. That's always interesting, and I've gotten used to that. It gets easier to be critical as you get older. One, because you just become more secure in yourself and who you are, and I don't think you care as much about other people's opinions and whatnot. But literally just the fact that you're not breaking down film and giving takes on guys that you shared a uniform with is much easier. The third one, early on in my broadcasting career, I had a big insecurity around not playing at the highest level. I had this thought in my head of like, who am I to say all these NFL takes when I never played in the NFL? I played at a high level college, whatnot, had NFL workouts, but who am I to be the guy that provides criticism in that way? And the reality is, and this is why I respect a guy like, Joel Klatt, top Fox guy, Herb Street, top ESPN guy. Those guys have built their careers and did not play at the highest of level. They're not NFL Hall of Fame guys that then were able to leverage their playing career into a top broadcasting seat. They had to earn their way to the top broadcasting seat through a different path. I'm not saying the Troy Aikmans of the world didn't earn their seat. They did. When you play at that high of a level, you should be able to cut the line. But I've always admired the Herbies and the Klatts and whatnot because they did it off the back of what they're saying when the camera turns on. Your name could be Joe Jones, Max Brown, Tim Smith, whatever. If you have good stuff, you will rise. And I think that's what happened with Herbie and Klatt. I'm sure they had some things go their way. But I say those guys as examples because as I've been in the industry longer, I can look to those guys as, you know what, you don't have to have played in the NFL to make it to the top. Sorry, my alarm's going off. Or even for me, I did not have a successful college career. Sure, that helps. My broadcasting career would be in a way better spot if I was some college All-American, and that would certainly help things. But I've become more more comfortable with the fact of I don't have to have that to have a career in this business. 4, my perspective on being critical has shifted. Early on, I thought being critical just meant, hey, it's guys just that are the loud mouths and they're talking over each other and they're yelling and whatnot. To then nowadays, I think the most respected voices in sports media are the ones that can be critical and be critical in an appropriate way and be critical in an informed way. But you look at guys like a Stephen A. Smith or a Colin Cowherd, number one at ESPN, number one at Fox. Those two guys, and I've touched on this earlier, they're critical. They tell you how they see it. No matter who's involved, whatever it may be, they're going to shoot you straight. And I would argue that even if they were to get on a guy like LeBron James, both those guys, Stephen A. Smith and Colin Cowherd, can walk up to LeBron, shake his hand, and there's a mutual respect level there. Not only because they're just telling you how they see it, but I also think there's a respect now of, hey, he's willing to stand on something. He's willing to stand on business and give us a take. And I admire that he's willing to put himself out there like that in an informed way. And so I look at those guys, when I'm at the barber shop watching Colin Cowherd, they always have it on. I'm always like, that's super cool. He can tell you how he sees it. He can be critical. It's the conversation that you might be having with your buddies, yet then he can go to the cocktail after party at NBA All-Star game and be cool with everyone there. And I'm sure some people don't like him and whatnot, but it's not like people are like rolling their eyes. No, it's like, oh, that's Colin Cowherd. He does good stuff. And the last factor that's allowed me to grow in this department is the landscape of media and our society has changed. That conversation I had with that mentor I was talking about was in 2018. That was like the peak of cancel culture in our society. And I think our society looked at cancel culture like that's silly. We're just canceling someone when they say something that we disagree with. And obviously there's levels to it. I know that, some things you can never forgive for sure. But I do think our society got out of that was like, all right, that was a little much. And we got to give people a little bit more leash to say things that we might disagree with. And then in the years that followed, you saw big social media personalities that weren't afraid to be critical and tell the truth of what's on their heart. You saw their careers rise because I think our society craved that. They wanted that. And the landscape's changed. I no longer think, in my opinion, if you're signing up to be a analyst, whether that's sports, whether it's politics, whether it's entertainment, whatever it is, because now the landscape isn't just, I only have one of 3 mediums I could watch from. I only have Fox, ESPN, or NBC. No, now I have one of 150 different mediums. And if you're going to just give me a vanilla take that I'm like, man, this guy's just giving me corporate talk, I'll go over here where someone's going to shoot me straight and I'll consume his content. That's now an option that wasn't necessarily the case or definitely wasn't mainstream 10 years ago, which I think is a healthy development in our society. And so for me personally, I've seen that development and it's given me the ability to kind of give myself grace to be like, no, Max, it's okay. You can be critical. If you believe that the Niners are in trouble with a big Brock Purdy contract, you can say that. That's fine because that's what you believe. And that's what you would say to your family around the Thanksgiving Day dinner table. And it sucks that if, Brock Purdy sees that one day and, if I have to go up to him and shake his hand, that he might not be like, oh, Max Brown, love that guy. But that's okay because I chose to sign up for that lifestyle by signing up to be a content creator, sports broadcaster. That was fun, man. From football takes to Thursday therapy. Again, that's the best name I got for this. I'm committing to the next 5 Thursdays. I will post a long form YouTube video on some topic like this, something that I'm struggling with at the moment or have struggled with and grown through it, and share with you guys as we build this thing. But if you like this video, let me know by dropping a comment down below. Like this video as well. Subscribe to the channel. As you guys have seen, we've been cranking up the amount of content and the videos and the type of videos we're posting every single week. So subscribe to not miss anything. Appreciate you guys watching and see you next time.